Hold up Hollywood, the Brits are coming. Welcome to Watch Mojo UK, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 movies you didn't know are British. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at films that, thanks to their setting, themes or lead actors, you might have forgotten or just not have realised are actually British. To qualify for this countdown, every entry must be at least part British production, be primarily filmed in Britain, or have a British director at the helm. Number 10. American Honey.
You always this cocky?
Andrea Arnold has made a name for herself with her honest, unrelenting eye on British life, so this film simply had to be British, even with a title so prominently centred stateside, and a storyline focused on an American road trip.
What do we sell again? Magazines.
As well as being written and directed by the talented filmmaker behind Fish Tank, outside of cast and setting, American Honey is a largely British-made film, with the likes of Film 4 and the BFI among the companies that produced it. Having premiered at the 2016 Cannes Film Festival, the movie also took home the coveted Jury Prize.
You got anybody who's gonna miss you? Not really.
Number 9. Ex Machina.
Do you have a name?
Yes. Ava.
Alex Garland's directorial debut, this complex sci-fi feature about the implications of artificial intelligence was nominated for a couple of Oscars, including Best Original Screenplay. It won the statuette for visual effects, as well as a slew of other awards on both sides of the pond.
I told you, you're wasting your time talking to her.
Shot almost entirely at Britain's own Pinewood Studios, Ex Machina follows in the great tradition of British sci-fi, more concerned with moral ambiguities than all action set pieces. With Donald Gleeson, Alicia Vikander and Oscar Isaac fronting the cast, it's clearly a global affair, but born out of Blighty.
I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Number 8. Brazil.
Oh, what this is all about.
That is your receipt for your husband. Thank you.
A classic of dystopian satire, Terry Gilliam's masterpiece is often mistaken as an American production, for a number of reasons. Firstly, both the US and international distributors were American companies. Then there's the fact that Gilliam, while a member of Monty Python, is US born. Add to that the appearance in the film of good old Robert De Niro, and you can see why some audiences misplace the movie's nationality. But we'll clear this one up. Brazil is a British film, so much so that in 1999 the BFI voted it the 54th greatest British film of all time. Number 7. Moon.
You better let me go outside and take a look.
There is no damage to the exterior shell.
Another intimate sci-fi flick, Moon was actually nominated for the BAFTA Award for Outstanding British Film. Co-written and directed by Duncan Jones, aka David Bowie's son, the movie has only two things that are unmistakably American: Sam Rockwell as lead, and the voice of Kevin Spacey. Seeing as those are the only main characters we get in this story, not realising you're watching a British production is a pretty easy mistake to make. But it was actually filmed in just 33 days at Shepperton Studios in Surrey.
How old are you now?
I'm 15.
Number 6. Hellraiser.
I'm going to live and you're going to help me, yes?
Yes.
This one's an interesting case. A British production written and directed by English cult author Clive Barker, Hellraiser was originally set in Britain, like The Hellbound Heart, Barker's novella from which it is adapted. The producers, though, convinced him to relocate the story to the States, after filming had already been done, so a significant amount of dubbing was needed to lose a few British accents, and some establishing shots were refilmed. But even after all of that, Hellraiser's true soul remains one of unmistakable British horror.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Number 5. Dredd.
Dredd to control. In pursuit of vehicles, Sector 13.
Perhaps it's not surprising that a film based on one of Britain's most iconic characters would end up being, well, British. But after the all-American Sylvester Stallone starring failed adaptation from '95, and with it being set in the States and filmed in South Africa, it's easy to forget this movie's British roots.
Disperse immediately, or we will use lethal force to clear the area.
But Dredd was actually written and produced by Ex Machina director Alex Garland, was directed by Englishman Pete Travis, and is based on the Judge Dredd comics, which have a history of British publishers. And that makes it a very British film indeed.
I am the law.
Number 4. Full Metal Jacket.
What's your name, scumbag?
Stanley Kubrick's tale of war and control, despite dealing with a very American story and having the first half set in a US Marine boot camp and the second half in Vietnam, was entirely shot in Britain and produced by Kubrick's own British company.
Freedom? Flush out your head, you're a new guy.
By 1987, the director had lived in the UK for the best part of 3 decades, and word has it, he really didn't like travelling. So what else to do but recreate parts of South Vietnam using the disused Beckton gasworks in London. The results were magnificent.
I'll be watching you!
Number 3. 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Yes, ma'am. How may I help you?
I hear there's 3 billboards out on Drinkwater Road. You're in charge of renting them out, that right?
There's no doubt that this one takes place in the States, unless we miss something about Missouri being in Yorkshire. But while it also sports a large and brilliant American cast, 3 Billboards was written, produced and directed by British-Irish playwright and filmmaker Martin McDonagh, and it can and should be considered a British production.
What's with the new attitude, Dixon? Your mama been coaching you?
One of the few films to ever win both the Best Film and the Outstanding British Film Awards at the BAFTAs, 3 Billboards also scored numerous nominations and wins worldwide.
I don't think those billboards is very fair.
Number 2, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
You're gonna have to answer to the Coca-Cola Company.
He's one of the most influential American directors of all time, but once Stanley Kubrick moved to Britain in 1961, he never returned to the States. So, all of his films made after that, including The Shining and Eyes Wide Shut, were primarily shot in the UK. So it could be argued that all of them are British in their own way. As for Dr. Strangelove, it feels even more British thanks to its iconic Peter Sellers performance. Production isn't just location, sure, but winning the Best British Film BAFTA in '64 confirmed this classic Cold War satire as one of our own.
Hello? Hello, Dimitri.
Number 1, Alien.
It's got a wonderful defense mechanism. You don't dare kill it.
Raise eyebrows if you please, but this sci-fi epic is straight out of the UK. True, 20th Century Fox produced it, but through its British subsidiary. It was entirely filmed in Britain, with principal photography taking place in Surrey and miniature filming in Berkshire. And it was directed by Ridley Scott, a British director, with a largely British cast and crew, including John Hurt at the centre of that scene. So, all things considered, calling the original Alien a British film isn't that much of a stretch after all.
Dallas?
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo UK and subscribe for more great content.